So let's go ahead and kick things off. I'm going to start the first panel, and I'm going to ask the panelists to come up. May I please have Amber, Michael, and April to the stage, please.
So I think you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. I want to start off by introducing each of our panelists, and then we're going to have an intimate discussion with each. I'm going to start off with Amber Mishak. Amber is the director of the BJSR, or Business, Jobs, and Social Responsibility Division within within LAWA. We've also got Michael Washington. He's the co-owner of Palazzo Concessions. And April Stewart, who is the owner and founder of Skyview Concessions. So again, this panel is the power of partnership. And the way I envision this panel or these relationships is really the perfect Venn diagram of our respective industries. So it's our partner LAWA, who actually owns and operates the airport. It's our partner AMAC, who, as Ebony mentioned, is the largest nonprofit, or the only nonprofit, facilitating diversity, equity, and inclusion within aviation. And then us as URW, as well as our concessions partners, making the third circle of that Venn diagram. So, Amber, if you can please tell us a bit about the BJSR and your role at LAWA.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to participate in this awesome event and this illustrious panel. And it's really great to be back in person for such an important opportunity to really think about, like you said, just grabbing that moment that we're fortunate to be a part of. So the role of my division is really to maximize business and workforce opportunity, and diversity, equity, inclusion is the kind of catch-all phrase, and particularly for those members of the community that typically face barriers to participation. So in 2019, the last year before the panda bear hit, LAX was the third busiest airport in the world. At the same time, we're in the midst of a $14 billion capital transformation of our airport, as well as serving nearly 90 million passengers a year, right? So that's a lot. Also, we're preparing to host global events such as the Super Bowl, the World Cup. Well, we just did the Super Bowl, but I'm sure we'll do it again because it was so great. And the World Cup, and of course the big one, the 2028 Olympics. So taken together, all of this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not to mention the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment Act. And so not only is this, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as I see it, is the opportunity so that the physical transformation also transforms people's lives, people's businesses, and our community. As Ms. Winbush mentioned, in Atlanta kind of set the template for, airports are always economic engines, but Atlanta set the template for expanding that opportunity. And so if we transform our physical infrastructure, if we build all these concessions and these new buildings, but we don't transform people's lives, then we've left half of our legacy on the table. So that is really the role of my division, I think, is to focus LA airports on that mission and to think strategically about what we can do from our position, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but as our position as the owner-operator, we have a particular role in how we drive economic opportunity. So I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you. And curious, can you speak to either some opportunities that are currently out there or opportunities on the horizon at LAX Airport?
I think, as Chris mentioned, we have such a wide variety of opportunities. So we purchase about $300 million worth of commodities and services every year, just typically. Of course, we still have the $14 billion capital improvement program ongoing, so that's architecture, engineering, and construction services. And we also have a new phase of our modernization program coming up, which will be the Airfield and Terminal Modernization Project, which will create a whole new terminal. The first one east of Sepulveda will create a brand new concourse, terminal Concourse 0, which will be an expansion of the southwest side. We will continue modernizing and creating more space in the Midfield Satellite Concourse area, or which is now known as the West Gates at Tom Bradley. So those are just on the construction side, and that also will, of course, lead to concessions opportunities. Those are some of the big things coming up. And I think, again, making it at LAX is an opportunity in itself. It's an opportunity to be a fish in a big pond, right? And it's an opportunity to serve a global customer base that you can then take those lessons and that network, that capital, whatever you gain here, and you can take it anywhere in the world and be successful. As well as, again, that opportunity to be a part of a once-in-a-lifetime transformation and really put your stamp on what LA looks like, as we welcome really the globe to our community, our state, and our region.
Thank you. I have one more question for you, but I'm going to pin that one. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Michael, I'd like to ask you some questions. Within AMAC, there is a series called Legends and Leapers that I just absolutely love. And the premise of Legends and Leapers is you have one aviation legend and a leaper who is more of an up-and-comer. Had a very great session with the CEO of Host recently that I listened to. It was a very good episode with Bob Johnson. So want to ask you, Michael, if you were to give advice to a leaper about what it's like to do business at the airport, what relationships mean, curious what advice you would give to someone coming in the door for the first time.
Thank you, and I really appreciate this opportunity. And please indulge me, I am not a great speaker, so I refer to my notes. Hopefully I have something good for you to take back with you. But to answer your question, Chris, one of the things is truly understanding what is your passion, okay? And are you a risk taker? Getting into this business as a concessionaire is not for everyone, okay? And it takes a level of patience, because a lot of us think, not a lot, but some people think you get into owning concessions and it's a machine that prints money, and that's not the case. It's not a get-rich scheme quickly, but within time and with your level of experience and with patience, things can come around. And I also would tell leapers or individuals that are interested to understand your brand, understand your reputation. Who are you? What do people say about you? I can give you my business card, and I can tell you I am X, Y, and Z. But others view me as ABC. So sometimes those dots don't connect. So individuals need to know you have to live your life that when people speak of you, they speak of you in such a way that people want to do business with you. They want to, hey, I want to sign that guy up. He seems like someone that should be on my team. And that's how you should try to position yourself. I have business partners here, Julie and Louise, we're partners, and they had great reputations out there. We were looking for additional partners. And because others spoke well of them, we were able to embrace them and bring them onto our Hudson team. And so, again, keep that in mind, because a lot of times we may have a level of aggressiveness about us. We may have, or think we're on top of the world and we are all that. But that's not always the case. That may not be how other people view you. So if someone walks up to Amber and say, Amber, tell me about Michael Washington. I'm hoping she says something nice about me. She probably has to dig super deep. But hopefully she'll say, she said, that is a guy of integrity. That is a guy that's humble. That is a guy that you want to do business with. Okay?
Roll off my tongue.
How much are you? The other thing is access to capital. It's one of our biggest challenges. Okay? We don't own the space at the airport. We don't own the brand at the airport per se. We just have a pro forma, projected cash flow, and many financial institutions, it doesn't check the box on me lending you money. They're trying to figure out, how am I going to get my money back? If I give you $1 million, am I going to get it back in 4 or 5 years? But the key thing here is you really want to position yourself to be able to have, to be bankable. Does that make sense to everyone? What's your credit score, right? What's your past? So these are some of the things that I would give advice to individuals that are interested. One, passion over people. Passion over paper. Don't chase the paper. Find out what your passion is, and this is something that you truly want to do. The other is, what is your brand? What's your reputation? And I go back to access to capital. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. It does. And I'm certainly extracting from that the importance of protecting that reputation as well. I mean, you certainly do reflect your work, and your work reflects you. And in this business, you have to be able to trust your partners to actually put pen to paper and make things happen. So hear you loud and clear, Michael. Michael, Ebony had mentioned just a few moments ago your involvement with AMAC. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I am fortunate to be Western Region President. I was voluntold, and I accept it, and I'm glad I accept it, and I'm glad to be working with individuals like Ebony. She's new in her role, but I would say we made one of the best decisions by bringing her on board. She's truly passionate about what we're doing, and just the fact that her mom was a flight attendant, and you probably didn't know that blood, that DNA exists in you to the point where you would be running AMAC. But being a Western Regional President, one of the reasons I got involved, I've been a member since 2010, but then really got involved when the conference was coming to Los Angeles. I was asked to be on a committee, served on the committee, and continued to evolve and work with Greg. Greg did an excellent job in leading Los Angeles and AMAC, so we're super excited about that. And so once I got involved, I found a new passion for me. My goal in life is always trying to make a difference, regardless of where I'm at. So in making a difference, being involved with AMAC, this is something that I live. This is my livelihood. So being involved, I was served on many committees, and once LA did an excellent job, and it's probably would go down in history as the best conference at AMAC ever. And but with that being said, you know, I was asked on multiple occasions to say, hey, we need you on this particular committee and that particular committee to be involved, to the point even now, Ebony called me about January and said, we want you to lead the Catalyst Awards for the conferences coming up in Chicago. And that's basically recognizing individuals that have done great work to get us to where we're at today. Individuals that are not always recognized for their input and the difference they're making for all of us to have this opportunity. And so I'm serving on multiple committees. Even now, I'm excited to work with AMAC. We're growing. Please be a part of it. Please be a part of it. Please, if this is what you're interested in, this AMAC is really making life easier for us. There are groups of people that don't want us in the room. There's legislation that's being introduced at times that want to eliminate any type of set aside or opportunity for the disenfranchised. And so you need to be part of this, because otherwise you have to find something else to do. Thank you.
There that is. There that is. Find something else. I'm going to remember that. Thank you. Thank you. April. I have recently read an article, April, that really warmed my heart. And it was about your success and your career path. And for the folks who have not had the privilege of reading that, maybe you could step us through some of that.
Oh, thank you, Chris. And again, I'm really delighted to be here. It's a privilege, and I'm just overjoyed. And thank you for mentioning the article. It started as a blog and written for URW, and it just took off. It just snowballed, and I'm so delighted. It's been published in various, I guess, variations in about 3 or 4 different international magazines, and these are magazines that I remember looking at years ago and thinking, wow, the Crown Prince here, or this president for this organization here, and now here I am having the privilege and the blessing to be able to be featured in a magazine. It's blown me away. So, but to your question, Chris, I on my journey, it really, I say, be a spark and recognize that you are a solution. You are bringing a solution to the table, whether it's your ACDBE certification or an expertise that you have. You are a solution. And when a mentor told me, yes, as entrepreneurs, we are always looking for and creating opportunities for ourselves. We're looking for opportunities. And when a mentor said to me, but you are also a solution, it changed my mindset. I went from kind of a lack, oh, please give me an opportunity, to abundance, whereas I have something to offer. But in a humble way, but I have something to offer and bringing something to the table. I think also it's important to pick up a phone call or make a phone call to someone that you're interested in getting to know. If you have admiration for someone, or there's a skill that someone has, then pick up the phone and call them. And it's so easy now with Zoom. We don't have to go to their offices, but you can get on their calendar and just spend some time with them. And people are really happy to talk about themselves and share. Also, I would say accountability. Be accountable for your actions, and Mike spoke about that. Have a reputation that is good and is above board. And I also like to say, tomorrow begins with today. So your actions that you're taking today, they may seem small, but they can pay off. I've been in this industry for maybe 30 years. Wow. And I was 10. Okay, I was 10. I was 10 when I started. So being accountable, and when you fail, and I hate to say it, but you will, and we all do fail, just pick yourself up and make amends to the people that you need to make, and own it. And then just remember, something that I studied through John Maxwell was failure, or fail is first attempt in learning. And that changed my mind too. So it's good to fail because that's when you learn, right? You learn out of your failure. So that's another thing that I think is important. Also, I'd say be respectful and have relationships and build relationships with people. It's so important that you build relationships. You may be speaking to the clerk today, but in 10 years, they could be airport director, they may be Amber, they may be Chris, you know, and people that are influencers and can help make a difference in your career. So cultivating relationships is super, super important. And then lastly, I would say give kudos. You know, when someone wins something, Mike and I, might compete against each other on a contract for something. And if he wins, then I'm going to reach out to him and give him kudos for the win and try to glean something from his success. You know, what did they do? What concept did they have? What worked for them? What didn't work for them? So it's always nice, and back to the magazine, the article, I've received a lot of well wishes and calls, and it's so nice when someone picks up the call or sends a text, and just to give that acknowledgement to you and to allow you to express your joy about it. So those are some of the, I think, keys to success and the journey.
Thank you, thank you. April's actually being a bit modest about this.
Very,
I'll say
very
she started
modest.
from the bottom, now she's here, if you read the article. And what I love about it was started actually physically working in the stores and getting her knowledge, getting her in-store education, so to speak, parlaying that into a joint venture partnership, and now operating independently, which for me is a huge goal.
Yeah.
So huge, huge applause to you for that.
Thank
Love
you.
seeing that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to acknowledge my very first joint venture partner was with Pacific Gateway, and Debbie Sands is here, and their company was one of the first, and they were already a minority firm, and they gave me the first opportunity, and we won Sacramento together years ago. So I wanted to thank Debbie publicly for all that she's done. Thank you.
You're one of the few people that have the unique experience of that progression. So picking up from where you first became a joint venture partner to where you are now, having your first Los Angeles independent operation, what's the difference between the two formats?
In terms of joint venture versus?
From an entrepreneur standpoint, how do you approach the two businesses differently, and what's different for you on both sides?
And let me say this also, before I forget, you know, URW, I have this opportunity as my first independent owned location, and I'm over the moon about it, I really am, but URW lowered the barrier for me to have access and to enter into the concessions arena as an independent concessionaire. I don't know that I would have been able to, because access to capital is very, very challenging and very, very difficult. So with URW and the nudge from Mike Caro and from Chris saying, let's do this, it's an absolutely amazing opportunity. But the difference in terms of mindset is, you know, as a joint venture partner, you certainly do offer your expertise. And because, as Chris mentioned, I grew up in this industry. Having rolled up my sleeves like my friend Greg, having rolled up our sleeves and worked in operations in the stores or in the restaurants, and learning the nuts and bolts of the operation, and learning really what it takes to truly operate a store or a restaurant. And then to become a joint venture partner, to offer your expertise, sometimes you have to fight to say, listen, I want to have a meaningful participation on this contract. I'm not just here because I have my certification. I want to make a difference. I want to participate. And that is something that I just want to encourage you to be sure to let your partners know who you are, what you're capable of doing, and make yourself available to that. And sometimes you might have to insert yourself in the process in order to see that happen. And then with each contract, you may have a different role. So that all varies, and it depends on what you end up negotiating. But again, having the integrity and character and the hard work is really what will make your partner stand up and take a listen and respect, I believe. And then to go on to become independent, I thought I knew a lot before. So I'm learning so much now. It's really, I'm having a ball. But now I really am into the intricacies of the business, where now, like I say, I've given myself 5 new jobs. Because I'm accounts payables and merchandising and all these different responsibilities that in a joint venture, the infrastructure is in place and your partners will offer that. But of course, as an independent, you're going to do it on your own. Can't do anything on your own, though. You have good team members. I have my manager here, General Manager Alex Ochoa. And speaking of relationships, Alex and I used to work together at Duty Free years and years ago, and we've kept in contact. And I was so delighted that Alex came on board. He's really, really wonderful. So you can't do it alone. So though I've given myself 5 jobs, I have a wonderful team that supports me.
Thank you, thank you. And to start to put a bow on this panel discussion, again, with the topic being the power of partnership, I'll kick off and lead here, but I want to talk about the impact of the partnerships for everyone on this panel today. So I'll start with AMAC, and I'll start with the 2018 event, I want to say. I believe that's the one that was in Seattle. And then CEO Crystal Brumfield had met me, and I said, Crystal, it's my first one. I don't know anyone here. I'm not nervous. I'm not shy, but I'm the new kid in the room. And she took me under her wing and introduced me to literally everyone at that conference. And it just made the night and day difference for me, being able to participate and engage as quickly as possible and find my avenue, my niche within this industry, within this world. So extremely grateful to Crystal for doing that. Mm-hmm. And then on the LAWA side, as April mentioned, sometimes you have to kind of move mountains a little bit to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And I also want to give a shout out to Mike Caro, who was able to maneuver lower barriers, mm-hmm. and make that dream a reality for you.
Absolutely.
And I hope she doesn't mind, but a partner of mine, Benet Jaworski, is that for me. Benet is someone who, with a few keystrokes, moves mountains for us and makes dreams like yours possible.
Absolutely. Benet's help was tremendous. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Amber, I think the two of us met in a pizza shop in Seattle. And it was at the conference, and started to have conversations around what we could do between URW and AMAC, what we could do between URW and LAWA, and just what possibilities are out there. So for you personally, for your career, how has that partnership with AMAC helped benefit and help shape your career?
Thank you so much. So with respect to AMAC, being a part of AMAC it's been an awesome experience. So the AMAC conference itself, I always like to tell people it's like a homecoming, mm-hmm. or a family reunion. Mm-hmm. It definitely has that vibe. Like at all great conferences, it's definitely a mixture of the fun, the networking, the relationship building, and then the workshop content, right? I think AMAC definitely sets that standard for covering all the bases in that. But unlike most conferences that you go to, what you'll see in the participants is someone who looks like you, who's experienced the same challenges as you, and who can show you a pathway for how you get from start at the bottom and get to here, right? And so I think that's one of the great things about AMAC is their commitment to bringing folks with that distinguished track record, that legends, and leapers, together with the younger and the emerging folks. And so it's very intergenerational. I mean, that's one thing that you notice. We don't have a lot of intergenerational spaces. Most of our spaces are very kind of monolithic. And so it was, you get to see what it looks like to build a legacy, right? You get to see what that actually looks like. And they're very realistic about, that process. So for me, from AMAC, I've gotten to, of course, build the relationships, of course, get to understand the trends and the dynamics that are in the aviation industry across this country, of course, see who the movers and the shakers are. For us, it was hosting the AMAC conference in 2019, the best one that no one will ever be able to surpass. It was... It was an awesome experience because we got to show off our great city, our great airport, our great partners, our great concessionaires. We got to put our own, spin on it with the food trucks and the glamour and the rappers and, but most importantly for me, it was actually the workshop content. And I think this speaks back to, what we were talking about earlier is really, AMAC has been very, very effective in building up that concessionaire base and promoting and advocating for concessionaires, and that's super important. But with billions of dollars out there, from the federal government, from our local program, it was super important to us to really open up that architecture, engineering, and construction space. And so, we helped lead a panel, which was one of the most popular ones, and we got to replay it again last year at the virtual conference for Atlanta, which was really about what we at LAWA did to expand opportunities in the construction capital project space. And so again, I think that speaks to our particular role as an institution. What I've been focused on is really setting up the incentives for our partners, such as URW, the large contractors, is to, if you want to do business at LAWA, part of it is to carry this commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and we're going to put it in your contract. And we're going to have metrics, and we're going to measure it, and it's going to be, one of the ways in which you'll determine future opportunities with us. So that's been a big focus of mine. So we got to highlight the fact that LAX was with the automated people mover and the consolidated rent-a-car partnerships. We really pioneered that approach in the North American P3, the private-public partnership market. And so, that has served as a template for many of the things that we're trying to do. Some of the other kind of model programs that we're trying to build on is we have a construction finance assistance program. So if you're a small contractor, we can support you with cash flow support. And what we're working on through our ACDBE working group is, and which Michael, Greg, and April have been huge advocates and a part of, is really to see how we can take that construction finance assistance program as a model and move it into the concessions where you really you need that capitalization. You cannot underestimate the importance of cash flow in this industry. So that's something we're very proud of. We also have the Build LAX Academy, which kind of helps, even if you've done construction in the private sector or residential or design, whatever have you, it's different. Public works is different, right? We have the project labor agreements, we have different you have a bonding requirement, which we also have a bonding assistance program. So we have a lot of resources to help you. And so that's been our focus, is trying to take those models, see where they work, where the inflection points are, where we have leverage as that owner operator, and use that to create and open up opportunity. So yes, that's been my AMAC experience, and that's what I look forward to continuing to partner with AMAC on.
Thank you. Michael, we heard just a bit ago, you currently serve as our director here in the Southwest region. Curious what that entails for you, and also as director, an experience you've had giving back to the community.
Yeah, again, excited to be part of AMAC and to play this role. One of the things that Ebony and I talked about last night was how to evolve my position as the regional director, and to really make sure I'm used as a resource, as a tool, as a connector. Whenever individuals that may have questions or any thoughts or they need answers, that I can be that individual for them, to assist them as they continue to grow, realize their dream and the vision they may have. how can I, with all the resources and experience that AMAC has, how can I make sure that if a person has a question, I can connect the dots for them? And so I'm very excited and appreciative of that opportunity. And also to really make sure that, Western region, which includes Hawaii, I haven't been there for that purpose yet. But, it includes San Francisco, Oakland, Las Vegas, et cetera. And I really need to be out there, letting the airport know. They're maybe looking for partners. There are partners in this room, potential partners. I need to be that person that can connect the dots for them. So that's part of what, my role and my mission is. When I first got into this business, I asked individuals, hey, help me understand this business a little bit. And I had a lot of people say, oh, okay, but they would never follow up. They would never return the phone call. All right, I'm not that type of person. As April mentioned, we compete. She wins, congratulations. There's a pie, and there's slices in this pie.
Exactly.
And we both want big slices. And we want to continue to win.
Yes.
But I can't get every slice,
Right.
Mom.
Yeah.
But that's how we look at this. And although we compete, we work together as a team because we're all in this together.
And there's enough for everybody.
There's enough for all of us.
There's enough.
So
I've heard that repeated so many times, and that absolutely blows me away about the ACDB community. One of the first experiences I had was with Greg, who's here today, and a mutual friend, Nick, and I said, so wait, you guys compete with each other? Yeah, but you're friends? Yeah, how's that work? The pie is big enough for everyone. There's enough pie here for everyone. We can share, we can cheer for each other. No one has to be anyone's enemy. So that is a beautiful thing at the airport. April, we have more than one, at least more than one person who has served in that role. I understand that you also had served in that role in the past, and I'm very curious what your experience was serving in the same role, and if times have changed since you served, how that's different now.
Yeah, well, AMAC has absolutely been intricate in my career, my journey. If I have a few minutes, I can share just a quick story. I was working for Duty Free as an assistant buyer at the time, and I remember a plaque going up in the store. It said, this store is joint venture operated by Duty Free, DFS, and Mir Kanan Pedo. And I'm like, what is that? And I'm really curious to know. And that's another tip, always be curious. So I was really curious to know what that was, and so I asked around and researched it. And it turns out that a friend of mine was recruited away from DFS to go work for the Mir Kanan Pedo company. And she told me she was going to this conference, AMAC conference in Atlanta. And I thought, oh, I want to go. I want to be a part of that. I'm really interested, because you mean to tell me there can be minorities that can own a portion of a store at this airport? How is that possible? It just blew my mind. And so I went to the conference. I took vacation, actually, to go to the conference in Atlanta. And I thought, I want to be in the room with these people. I want to know who they are. I want to meet them. I want to understand what it is that they're doing. How is it that they are successful? And so back then in those days, there used to be hospitality suites. And Joe Lyons, who's a pillar in this industry, was also working for DFS, but he was in government relations at the time. And so he would always rent or have a suite for his room at the hotel, the host hotel. So I went up to say hello, and Joe said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm here on vacation, and I want to learn about AMAC. And he said, oh, you do you? I said, absolutely. He said, okay, meet me at 7 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. Meet me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I met him on time, and he says, okay, I want you to go to this workshop, and this workshop, this AMAC workshop. I want you to listen to this person and this person. So he gave me the blueprint for how to navigate through AMAC and the conferences and all the power of the networking that takes place in the room. And I really didn't fully grasp that until much later, when he then asked me to join him at other future AMAC conferences. And I didn't work directly in his department because he was in the presidential suite, in the presidential area. And I think at that point I was working in human resources. And he asked me to attend every AMAC conference that came up, and then I got a chance to participate on the conference planning committee. And Legends, I was working with Leon Watkins, Clark Sharp, Bill Swift, Linda Moore, Nancy West. These are great folks that were really involved in the founding of AMAC. And so I got a chance to be on the planning committee. And then at some point, in I think 2006, there was an opening for the Western Regional Director position, and Joe suggested that I run. I'm like, okay, then I'll run, then I'll run. And I ran, and I was successful, and I won, and I held the position of Western Regional Director from 2006 to 2008. And then thereafter, I've been involved with the AMAC Foundation. I got a chance to work with you, Chris, on the, it was the, help me remember. It was Silent Auction. Silent Auction, yeah, we got a chance to work together on that. I've been involved with Project Lift as well thereafter. So AMAC absolutely has been critical in terms of my journey. And as I think Amber mentioned, it's like old home week when you come home and to a reunion. It's kind of like a fraternity and sorority, and you just, it's a family feeling. And I am so grateful to AMAC and the foundation or the platform that has been available that allowed me to grow up within the industry. So it's been a wonderful journey.
Thank you. I know there's been a lot of content here in this first 40 minutes to an hour. I'd like to ask, are there any questions from the audience? Please do not hesitate. Everyone has all the answers? Okay. Oh, we got a question.
I'm a small business, a vending business. Sorry, thank you. Hi, my name's Maxine Pittman. I guess that's a little better now that I have a mic. I've been listening to all of you guys' information. It seems like you guys have great stories, a lot of experience, and definitely something to contribute to a small business owner like myself. Obviously, I'm a woman. I'm a minority, so that's why I'm here. I'd love to do business with, multiple airports. That's hopefully the ultimate goal. So what would be the best piece of advice that you would give me, something actionable that I can do probably within the next 60 to 90 days that would contribute, heavily to that goal?
Okay. I thank you, and congratulations for being in business. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
I absolutely believe in building relationships, and now is the time to start opening, building those relationships and opening those doors, and getting to understand how the process works, and understanding that, and just making yourself available is foundational in my view. Anyone else have?
And join AMAC.
Yeah.
Join AMAC.
Yeah,
'Cause,
absolutely.
As you mentioned, there's a lot of information to be shared. Educate you on this business, understand the pitfalls, how to prepare yourself, and the people that you want to do business with will be in that room. And so you want to establish a relationship. And one of the things I said earlier, you're a brand, and people want to do business that they're familiar with and that has a good reputation. So it's your chance to showcase who you are, what you're about, that people want to do business with you because you have proven yourself to be that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, we got a second.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
My name is A. Couture, and I am co-founder and president of Fully Charged Snacks. We sell gluten-free, allergy-free dessert snacks. And equally, I am a consumer packaged goods vendor. And there seems for me to be a gap between being told, get the certifications, get certified, get certified, get certified, get ready. And then once you get the certification, it's like, now what? And it's that transition into knowing where to go, who to talk to, how to develop those relationships. You get the memberships to the organizations and the groups, and I think you mentioned it a little bit, how to make those introductions. So what would you give as your recommendation for an established business, but still in a brave new world, a large pond, on how to transition from that period of having your certification and your beginning foundation laid and really starting to lay some bricks to build something?
Well, I guess I would, reiterate the advice that Michael and April gave in terms of, I think once you have your certification, first of all, I think what's important to understand is your certification is just a little value add that you're going to have, but at the base, it's really still about the relationship and the value that you bring. So I think the main thing is to continue, building those relationships, getting your business in order as far as like understanding like what kind of capital needs would you have to expand. But as far as speaking as the owner operator of an airport, I would make sure that you're talking to folks like myself who work at the airports, folks like Chris, and then also folks in the industry to understand like what is the next set of opportunities coming up. What you need to do is probably understand kind of, you need to set a time horizon and say, okay, what are the types of opportunities that are coming up within that time horizon? And then you need to be strategic about the pursuit of individual opportunities. So I think you're kind of in the limbo phase, but the limbo phase is really about building the relationships, building your infrastructure and your capital, and also understanding specific opportunities that you're going to have to build a strategy around. And that stuff is, obviously we're a public agency, so we have bi-weekly Board of Airport Commissioners meetings. You're going to want to check into those and see, that's where the big decisions are made about, what terminals are going to be opening, what are the big projects that we're going to be investing in, so you get to see who shows up to those meetings, right? Especially once we start having them in public again. That's important, really. Looking at we have a public website where all of our procurements are posted, but by the time the procurement is posted, you're kind of already late in the process. So what you really want to do is really, again, do that networking and be understanding what's coming up down the pipeline. And sometimes you kind of have to understand how the decisions are made before you understand, okay, for example, if I just mentioned about the Airfield and Terminal Modernization project. We just got environmental clearance on that this past, few months ago. So what does that mean in terms of a time horizon? When will we be designing that? When will we be procuring that? When will we be building that? When will the concessions open? That's a multi-year process, right? That we'll be opening those buildings in the late 2020s, right? So it's a long lead time, but you just want to take advantage of the time to target, I think, specific opportunities.
A quick example, there's a lady in the northwest part of our country who had a product, and she knocked on the doors, and we call them primes. Primes are your big companies such as Hudson, SSP, or Marshalls, Parities, etc. And she was super aggressive. Now remember what I said earlier about your brand and the reputation, what other people are saying about you. She was super aggressive, and she was very upset that she kept getting a no. And she came to me and asked me, she said, I have a great product, but nobody wants it. I'm like, okay. Focus on building that product, the brand, that those concessionaires want your product in their airport. build it street side. All right, so individuals will say, wow, this is selling hot. I would love it because it's a proven opportunity. We're all in to make money. If your product is super hot street side, certainly we want it in the airport. Okay, so what she was able to do in San Francisco, we helped her. There's pop-up opportunities, so small individuals that are interested in doing business. I believe URW has these opportunities as well. And you get like a 2-year contract and a space that's already built out for you, a little bit of design, a little bit of capital you bring in. And she got into that airport and was able to sell her product at that airport. And again, now those same people who told her no are coming to her to say, we want your product. So don't let no have a period. Have no with a comma. Then what's next? Thank you.
No is next opportunity.
Any other questions for this panel? April, Michael, Amber, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.